Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Heather Frierson, and I'm your host of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have Ross Johnson, owner and president of Happy Clean. And today he's going to be talking about his journey to business ownership and entrepreneur, all the challenges, best practices, and really just share a sneak peek of what it's like to own and operate a business. So if this is your first time to the show, be sure to like and subscribe so that you get a notification every time a new show drops, just like this one. Well, Ross, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Yes, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, if you could just give us a little bit of a background about who you are and tell us a little bit about Happy Clean.
Sure. So Happy Clean is a local commercial and janitorial cleaning company. Uh, we are about mid-size. We've grown quite a bit over the last 5 years, and we have a mission to really care for the cleaner. That's really what drives us. It's what we keep at the forefront of everything, and it's pretty amazing when you pay well and you have clients that treat you well, how quickly you can grow. It seems
Mm.
more simple than it is. But yeah, that's kind of what we are. We also do exterior glass, professional glass. We do floor scrubbing, and we really focus kind of on the high end client market.
Mm.
And so we're sort of comprehensive cleaning consultants, is what I like to kind of call it. No one building is the same.
Mm.
There's no such thing as a perfect clean, right? There's always something different. So that's a little bit about us.
How did you come into this company of Happy Clean? What was your past experience?
Well, I wasn't, if you had asked me that 3 years ago, if I'd be working in a cleaning company, I probably would have told you were crazy. I did not expect to be here. But I came from a career as a professional headhunter and recruiter. So I ran a region, our Texas market. We specialized in healthcare. So I was kind of on the corporate third party side, running
Mm.
that business, and I traveled a lot. And my wife relocated twice. We moved from Houston to Dallas. She was an oil and gas accountant. She changed her career, to come to Dallas. Then we moved again, right into Austin, and she had changed jobs, moving to Houston. She changed jobs moving to
Mhm.
Dallas, and so when we got to Austin, it was we were in a place where I said, okay, why don't you figure out what you want to do, right? Why don't you don't want to be an accountant forever. Why don't you just take a while to sort that out? And she always really had a passion to help people. That was something
Mhm.
she was always really talking about. And accounting doesn't really do that, doesn't really scratch that itch, right? So when she had that opportunity, they had immigrated here from Colombia when she was young, when she was 5. Her parents didn't speak any English. They settled here in Austin and really grinded it out, right?
Mm.
And as an American, you don't really understand how difficult it might
Mm.
be to do that with 3 kids.
Sure.
And they were established in Colombia. They weren't, they came over here and had to start over, right?
Mm.
So she saw growing up and helping her mom out, how they're paid, how they're treated,
Mm.
right? The types of jobs that they would get. And they're really just a class of worker that's very mistreated. And
Mm.
so she set out real simply, right? And it was really just to pay as much as possible and, get the best clients,
Wow.
as much as possible. And I remember when she came to me with the business plan, right? And she's like, I want to pay double, I want to pay double what the going rate is. And me with a business background, it was kind of like, well, let's look at the margin first, right? Let's see what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
And we were pretty shocked to see sort of what was charged versus what was paid. I was
Wow.
very shocked. And in my headhunting and staffing days, right, I was negotiating rates. I was dealing with
Hmm.
salaries and contract labor and headcount and all of that stuff. So I'm very familiar with that. And I'll never forget like looking at it. for the first time and being pretty blown away at the margins that were there and just how much was left on the table for the cleaner.
Mm,
So we started out and we pay probably 30 to 20 to 40% higher than most other companies. And it also we have a different structure for projects where we can pay more than that, depending on what it is. And we waited around for probably 2 or 3 months waiting for the other shoe to drop in a way, right? Like, well, what are we
hmm.
missing here? What,
Yeah,
right?
that makes
Like,
sense.
right. So, but months and months went by and we were still continuing to grow. And I was still in my other career at the time, but she started out in residential. She had a small team of ladies. We grew the residential side and then quickly realized that at scale with residential was not viable for what we did want to pay, right?
Mm,
And so we transitioned from residential to janitorial commercial about 3.5 years ago, and we started working pretty heavily in the multifamily side for apartment turns, student turns. Started doing lobbies and amenities, and now we're doing car dealerships and office buildings and going to networking events. It's been pretty crazy. So, um, as far as how I ended up with the company, so I was still with my former company and traveling a lot.
hmm.
We started a family, and I was getting pictures of my kid on a 2 hour delay in Chicago and was like, what am I like? This is a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
And so I left my career of 13 years to join her. And so I handle the client side where we go on site, we evaluate what's going on, what needs are there. We compare to their current plan and their internal staff, and
Mm,
then we sort of build out what's needed. So while we do, you know, pay well, we also care very much about, are the services you're getting effective,
mm.
right? Because
That's
something
good.
we've
That's
seen,
always good, right?
it is something we've seen in this industry is sort of a blanket per square foot, right?
Mm,
Or a blanket, per pane for glass, right?
yeah.
Well, if you have, really difficult glass that hasn't been cleaned in a year, well, that's not really the same. Or if you're getting it
Mm,
cleaned every week, that can be lower, right? So we really
got
work
it.
with clients and their budgets to see, well, what does the building need and where do we fit in? And that approach has been really helpful for us to get the price we need to pay well and for them to get
Hmm.
the services they need that matter. Because many times
Right.
what they tell me they need really isn't what they need. So it's been a great journey. We love it. As of
Yeah.
now, we're at uh, 45 cleaners and about
That's
10.
amazing.
Thank you, and about 10 specialty staff. So it's been like holding on
So
the end of a
really
tornado.
almost 60 employees almost after 3 years, after your transition of 3 years from residential to commercial. That's
Yes,
amazing.
yes, yeah, it's been
And
great.
I love hearing your heart or your wife's heart, which is obviously yours too, that not only do you want to provide a good service, as we all do as entrepreneurs and business owners, but your real mission is to help your staff and to give them 20 to 30% more than what normal companies like yourself do. I think is doesn't we don't need to overlook that. Just kind of want to sit there for a minute because you said that as it's a fact and, really fast. But what I really want to know is, yes, we heard the heart and it's so important to you. But when you started out on that, because that's your mission, right? And what drives you, what challenges did you have to overcome in order to do that?
A lot of no's. A lot of no's. Yeah.
Mm,
We had the pricing in the service industries, kind of across the board that I've noticed is the Wild West. You could have a building, three exact buildings the same, right? And their cleaning contract could vary between 25 and 50% in terms of price, either down or up.
mhm.
So doing the same things. So it was really hard for us to really nail down, our target audience in terms of what their budgets were and what they could do. So we knew what we wanted to pay. We knew what got a good cleaner. We knew how to train them and support them. But the
Hmm.
real challenge was like, what's our niche, right? Like what kind of clients, uh, can pay above bare minimum, right? But we're
Mm.
still not as expensive as the super large, expensive enterprise type groups. A lot of folks
Wow.
might think that those prices go down the bigger you get, but really it depends on the client they're servicing, which was a shock to me coming from staffing and headhunting,
Mm.
where the percentages are pretty much all the same across the board, and they vary by like 10% max, right? So we had to really kind of shoot with a shotgun in a way to see who's our target client, who appreciates our level of service, who has the budget that fits us and fits them, and how do we
Mm.
make it the most effective. But yeah, we were bidding on everything and anything, just trying it out until we found our niche, the niche that we
Yeah.
wanted. So
Do you put that out there as a business, what your mission is, or how you are really not only giving good quality service, but how you treat your employees?
oh, 100%. We talk about it all the time. And
Hmm.
I was very, if you had, I was very surprised at, how much I bought into it, right? And how much it excited me, right?
Mm.
Because in my staffing days, I really loved getting people raises, right? I loved, they came from
Sure.
a company, I'm headhunting them to a new company. I want to improve their PTO package. I want to improve their salary. I want to improve their commute to work. Like all those things are really what drove me in that industry. And it's not that much different here, right? So when you have a cleaner, what fits them, right?
Hmm.
What schedule fits them? What how many hours, is it, and how does it fit? And when you pay attention to those details, they do a good
Yeah.
job. It's as simple as that,
Yeah.
right? They want that job. They're proud of that job. They will be there forever if you do that, if you take that time. So
Hmm.
for us, we really advocate the cleaner because it's a better result for the client, right? It's a
Yeah.
win, win, win. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of the cleaning world is really geared towards the best price, or it's geared towards, oh, turnover is just how the cleaning world works. And the answer
Yeah.
is no. We have less than a 10% turnover rate with our clean staff and our internal staff. We just don't lose cleaners. The cleaners that we lose are moving
Yeah.
away, or getting different kinds of jobs that pay even higher than what we can do,
Wow.
right, outside of cleaning. But we learn that if you take care of the cleaner will take care of the client. Happy cleaners, happy clients. That's how it always goes. And
Yeah. I mean, I would say
it's
that's across the board too. In every company, it's, from the top down, taking care of your staff always, ends up for a better product or service care for the clients. What is some of the feedback you get from your staff when they find you and start working for you, that because you're so different? What have you seen are some of the wins for your cleaners?
flexibility in schedule. We care that the schedule matches them, right? If they have three kids and their husband works, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., well, that's very limiting, right? And if they do want to pick up a job, well, the job can't start at 5, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
something inevitably is going to go wrong. So we have to find her a gig or match her up with a client that matches her schedule. It also can't go past 1 in the morning, right?
Mm.
Because she's got to get home, she's got to get rest, she's got to be with the kids all day. And the
Wow.
reason the reason we care about that is because it'll inevitably go wrong, right? This person is taking care of the kids 6 to 6. They're making dinner, they're going to work, they're working
Wow.
until 4 in the morning, right? In some cases on janitorial contracts, maybe 1, 2, 3 in the morning. That ain't sustainable 7 days a week,
Mm.
right? It might work for 2 weeks, it might work for a month, but inevitably that person is gonna fail in some ways, right? And a lot of folks will blame it on them, right? Well, they didn't clean very well, or they were late, or they left
Mm.
early. And it's not always that, right?
Right.
It's what else is going on. So the feedback we get
Mm-hmm.
from the cleaners is just the level of trust that we have to build with the workforce. The name, they know now that we will take care of them, but we also have high expectations, right? We have a high
Mm-hmm.
degree of accountability. We do lots of
Sure.
quality checks. We supervise all of our projects. So it's really a trade-off, right? We will take care
Mm-hmm.
of you. We will be sensitive to your schedule. We will pay you as much as possible. We will be flexible, right? But we have high end clients, right? We have high expectation clients that
Yeah.
we have to deliver. And it's almost like just an understanding. It's just they know
Mm-hmm.
what's expected. They know we're going to check and talk about it, but we're not going to come down on them, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is cleaning. If you
Yeah.
forget to clear out a trash can, and you go back and clear out the trash can, right? But no one's doing surgery here.
Yeah.
Let's not take it too seriously. And just we're fun, vibrant.
Yeah.
Like clients have told us, your cleaners are always smiling. Like, what are they so
That's
happy?
amazing.
They're
Yeah.
always happy. And that's such great feedback. Such
That
good
is
things to
great
hear.
feedback. It's
Yeah.
always good to hear companies who take care of their staff. It's very encouraging for sure. So when you look at the overall structure of your team, it's you and your wife, but tell me a little bit more about your team. You said you supervise projects, so you must have managers in place and different things. How are you developing your team?
Well, our team is a direct reflection of our sales initiatives and growth, right? So up until about a year and a half ago, it was all word of mouth. We barely had a website. It didn't reflect the services that we do today. So when I joined, that was my goal, was to scale, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how do we keep the same thing we have at scale? And so uh, the as we have added contracts, we attend networking events. We're using our we have lots of references from current clients that we leverage to get into others. Excuse me, and we build that way. So the cleaning comes first, right? The product, I can talk about how great we are all day and how well we take care of our cleaners, but it's got to be a good result, correct? Well, as we've grown cleaners, we've turned some of those cleaners into supervisors, right? So they
Wonderful.
now then become the trainers. They now then become the quality check folks, and then they can take on more. So they have their own cleaning schedule that might scale back. No one wants to clean for 12, 15 hours a day. Like, nobody wants
Right.
that forever. So they get chances to advance, right? By quality checking, training, and still being able to clean on the days maybe where they're more flexible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they set the example for anyone new coming in, right? And that has really been great to empower them, right?
Mm.
We've never hired a supervisor in the field outside of us. We always
Wow.
pull it from within.
That's
And
amazing.
I know that's more difficult, right? I do know that's more difficult, but when someone new is coming in and they're seeing levels within
Mm-hmm.
cleaning, right? Because a lot of
Yeah.
people, you know, even people we interview and we bring on board still don't fully realize, like, oh, I could grow in this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to clean forever. Like, if I can learn to quality check, if I can build trust, if I can, you know, do this, like, there's more,
There's
right?
room
Than
to
just
grow,
working
and
in the con.
everybody wants to see that. People want to know they're not, no matter what position you're in, whether it's cleaning or admin, you want to know for the most part that you can grow as a person and as an employee. I think that's amazing.
Well, and even getting from, maybe a less desirable contract to another new contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been with us 3 to 6 months, you've been working this contract, and you say, hey, my schedule's changed, or like, I would really love it if I could work these days or these hours. We'll work hard to move things around. And I think you would be surprised at how many clients you can approach and say, hey, can we reschedule this, or like, can we schedule this differently?
Mm-hmm.
We have a great cleaner. She's been with us this long. She would be awesome for your building. This is 10 miles closer to her house. They're gonna be like, excellent, great. Like,
Yeah,
please, like, we want a good cleaner, right? And we have a lot of those conversations.
that's good.
It's like a shell game, right? Just moving things around.
So what kind of leadership style would you say that you are? You come from, headhunting to now being an owner. What kind of leader were you then, and how have you grown?
Oh boy. Before I came here, I would say, well, I care a lot about individual growth, right?
Mhm.
Like I really like I mentioned previously, I really liked finding people new jobs, better jobs, closer jobs to their house, things like that. That's why I was really drawn to that industry. But I also like seeing people on my teams grow. I had a team of about probably 60 or 70 folks all throughout Texas, Tennessee, and other areas. And I liked seeing them buy houses, buy cars, right? Like grow their
Mm-hmm.
career, go into management roles, right? Like go into different kinds of roles. And I realized late in my previous career how much I really enjoyed that and how little I was getting it at the time. And then coming
Mm-hmm.
here, this has turned sort of, it's very similar. There's not that much different, right? But my leadership style is also like very much you can do it on your own. You don't
Yeah,
need me to sign off on it, right? And then I want to give you that credit, So if
that's
you're going to
awesome.
come to me and you're going to say, "Hey, does this email look good?" I might tell you once or twice, "Yeah, it looks good," but then I'm going to say, "Send the damn thing," right? Send it, right? If we have a supervisor that's on a project and she's somewhat new, but she's frazzled, right? She doesn't know exactly what she's doing. We will help her, but we're also going to say, you can do this, like
Right.
you can trust me. You like, and we're not going to let them drown, right? But
Sure.
we know that they'll be able to work through it. And just when you allow people that room to make
Mm-hmm.
mistakes, to grow through it, like I mentioned before, this is cleaning, this is not surgery, no one is
Yeah,
dying,
I love
right?
that.
So I promise you will get through it. And if you and you, people come out the other end on that,
Yeah.
so much better because I could sit here and train you for months. And then the very first
Mm-hmm.
call you make or the very first job site you go to, you're completely lost because it
Wow.
didn't follow the training, it didn't
Yeah.
follow the manual. So I'm really big on empowering folks to um, think themselves, right? Just
Yeah.
what would you do? Use your judgment, right? I'm
I
here to
love that you
confirm.
even, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I love that you said there's even like a manual, it sounds like, but there's a process, a clear process for training so that I was just having this conversation yesterday that without a process written down or training, you really can't help your employees grow or know
Right.
what's expected. So the fact that you want to empower them, you want to give them a better life, you're setting them up for success by having the materials in place for them to do that. I think that's amazing. I want to touch really quickly on marketing because you said a couple of times, I think once before we were recording and then once during the recording, that you really just started getting your website together. And before a year and a half ago, it was word of mouth. So,
Mhm.
what in your marketing strategy has changed so that you are now not just word of mouth?
Um, well, that actually, we just kicked off our first marketing campaign probably 2 weeks ago
Oh,
through,
wow.
yeah, through Google Ads, some LinkedIn targeting. So that's still yet to be seen what's going to transpire from that. But the majority of our growth has been from leveraging current relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we were cleaning some apartments in an apartment building. So we asked
Mm-hmm.
that apartment building who cleans their amenities, right? We got into student housing cleaning. Well, student housing are groups like Greystar, Lincoln, lots of large ones. Well, they also
Mm-hmm.
have other types of communities. So we would get referred over there, or we'd call them up and we'd say, "Hey, we service this building over here in West End. You're the sister
Mm-hmm.
property over here on this side. How do we get involved?" And we grew really through that. So the majority of our sales
Yeah.
initiatives have been mushrooming or similar industry mushrooming.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm working within an amenity center or an apartment community, well, the one across the street is a different company, right? So, but they're the same thing, right?
Yeah.
What's their budget? Whatnot, and that's my background really is sales. So and you and
Sounds like I'm sorry, go ahead.
no,
I
no,
was just
no,
going to
no,
say,
go
it
ahead.
sounds like relationships very important in every area to you
Well, it's
and
in
has been
cleaning.
beneficial too.
Yes, and in cleaning it rarely happens, right? So
Mm,
it's rare that someone's, well, I wouldn't say rare, but how much impact you can have by showing up, going on site,
yeah.
walking them through it, being transparent. I can't tell you how many meetings we've been on where they're like, we've never seen a vendor that does cleaning that's actually
Mm,
like been here 3 times, because
wow.
we'll go at the meeting, we'll go to set up the contract to map it, we'll go after the first clean, and they're like, just like, wow, there's people here. It's not just the
Yeah.
cleaner with the mop. Like you guys are
Wow.
managing it. And that starts with that first meeting, right? And
That's
so
really
I would just
great.
encourage everybody, like, yes, marketing is important. Yes, it helps
Hmm.
drive leads. It absolutely does. And cleaning is one of those things that a lot of people don't put a ton of thought into. It's just like, sure, like I'll go with this rate or I'll go with this cleaning company. But
Hmm.
the you'd be surprised at how much value, at least if you're in a service, showing up, having a
Yeah.
conversation goes, right?
I love that so much. I want to cut to 3 to 5 years down the road. Where do you see Happy Clean in 3 to 5 years, as well as yourself?
Oh my God, I have no idea. I have no idea. I really don't. And I think that's what made it so exciting, right?
Mm,
Is we don't have much else of a goal besides getting more cleaners and paying them more, and we'll see where that ends up,
yeah.
right? We don't have any plans to sell, like we don't have any plans to move into other markets. I'm a strong believer that you can really dominate a market, right,
Yeah.
with name brand. So if you're thinking of moving to cities, you also have to consider your time and your efforts in that city. With my previous
Hmm.
company, I opened offices in Dallas, um, and other markets. When we went to Nashville, it was the most difficult one I ever opened. Nicest people ever, but they kind of expect you to talk for 30
Really?
minutes. The guys, yes, the guys in Dallas, they're like, "What do you want? Why are you here?" So
Yeah.
I had that style, and going to Nashville was a completely different
Mm,
style, and we struggled, and I didn't know why
wow.
until I hired a guy from Nashville, and he would do that in every meeting. And guess what? He was getting business left and right. Like he's talking to him about Ohio
Isn't
State for
that funny?
45 minutes. Yes. So we really want to really be here in Austin and be the dominant commercial
Hmm.
janitorial, competitor that competes with the big guys, but is local.
I love that. That is local.
Yes. Like we want to be a big guy that's local.
I love that. I love your passion for the business. And more importantly, I love your passion for your employees and just your heart from where it started with your wife to where it is now. And really, you do have a 3 to 5 year plan, and that's to be the dominant cleaner in Austin. And
There
I
you go.
think
Oh,
that's
there you go.
there you go.
You
You
nailed
just
it.
said it. I nailed it. Yeah, you have a vision for where you want to go, and I think that's incredible. And I love hearing stories like yours so much.
Cool.
It's
No,
really
thank
great.
you.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to get into some fun rapid fire questions. What do you think?
Let's do it. Rapid
Let's
fire.
do it. All right. What do you say is the key to success for you?
For me is it's action.
Mm,
Um, Action. My partner is the planner, right? She's the one that's organized. She's the accountant, right? Um, and my skill set is taking action for sure.
mm,
Especially in a business you're not familiar with, or if you're starting a business right now, you don't really know until you try, right? And you can sit there and do all the research you want, but until you do that, like until you give it a go, you won't know
yeah.
if you want it or not. A good example, we thought we wanted to get into a specific industry. We were very gung ho about it. We knew it was going to be the
Hmm.
greatest thing ever. And it took us a couple months to realize, wait a minute, no, like we actually don't want this. Like how
Yeah.
funny that was. But we planned it for 6 months, so it's
Hmm.
like, why didn't we just do that first and see if we even wanted to go down that road? So yeah, that's my answer to that.
Action. I love that. I love how you and your wife complement each other too. I think that's really cool.
We're very
Yeah.
fortunate. Yes.
What would be your advice to other business owners?
Um, Sales fixes all problems.
I like
Uh,
that.
that is the key for sure. Um, if you have sales, if you have leads coming in, if you're cultivating those leads and you're mushrooming those leads. And by mushrooming,
Mm,
I mean looking at their competitors, looking at their other locations, looking at other decision makers, right? Looking at what sort of other vendors do they use and who might be in your backyard or in your
yeah.
back pocket that you could get into the mix as well. Because if it comes from your group, right, they're more likely to remember you, they're more likely to reach out.
Mm,
So take what you have, right? I have this mix of clients. What can that mix get me? Right?
that's good.
What other industries can they get me into? And you don't spam them with emails.
Right.
Call them, talk to them, ask for their help, ask for their referrals, ask what you could do differently. Like that is missed so many times in
Yeah.
terms of like, hey, I know you've been a client of mine for a year. I know we're good, but what would you change? Right?
Mm,
Why did you switch to me in the
yeah.
first place? Right?
I love that. So good. All right. Book or podcast? What are you reading or listening to right now?
I'm reading two books. The one everyone might know on this, but it's called Traction. I'm sure that's been brought up before.
I
Traction.
actually haven't heard that.
Oh, it's amazing. It's basically a blueprint for entrepreneurship
Oh,
business,
cool.
right? It shows you, and it's used very widely. I'm sure folks listening would
I'm
know,
sure. Yeah.
but it's really great in terms of just from the bare bones, like what is your business plan to 5, 7 years down the road?
Mm,
What is um, where are you growing, right? Where are you
yeah.
going in 5 years from now? And it's very simple. It lays it out really well, and it gives you actual homework to apply to your current business. Really love that one.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
yeah.
Sounds great. All right. Okay. This is a fun one. If you had a little bit of magic dust and could put it anywhere in your business, where would you place it? Or sprinkle it, I should say.
Magic dust. What does the magic dust do?
It can do anything you want. Where do you want
Oh, I see.
it?
Huh. I'd probably sprinkle it on my wife and make two of her. Like two or three. We need at least three more of her. We need at least three more. So that's what I would do.
Three more accountants. That means you're growing. That's a really good
Yes.
thing.
Yeah. Well, she's really our glue, to be honest. She has the
Mm,
relationship with the cleaners. I don't speak Spanish. I'm more on the client
got
side,
it.
right? So she has those relationships. They love her, they trust her,
Mm,
and she is really our leader, in this. You can hear my passion, but you get her
yeah,
going, like
that's
you'll
amazing.
really see it.
I love that so much. Well, before we get to the final question of the day, share with our audience how they can follow you or even hire you.
Sure. Our website is www.thehappyclean.com. That's THEBhappyclean.com. And our numbers on the website. You can fill out a form to have us come on site, give you a quote, or even inquire for a job, whatever you need to do. That's where you'd go.
That's awesome. We'll link it down in the show notes for sure. All right. Final question of the day, which I love so much. What is inspiring you today?
Oh my gosh, inspiring me today. What is inspiring me today? I would we've hired some new sales guys.
Hmm.
I've had one operations guy for about a year, and he's really hitting some milestones. He's really starting to grow kind of his book of business. He's running accounts on his own, which is exciting. And we just hired a
Yeah,
second one who's kind of learning with him, and just seeing them operate independently on their own is
that's so good.
so cool. And it's also kind of getting my stuff together, right? Where I'm like, shoot, they're
Mhm.
going to be bringing in a lot here very soon. We better be ready for it.
Yeah. Gonna be
So,
busy.
yeah, it helps keep me motivated as well.
Yeah, I love that so much. Again, you're just showing your passion for your employees and what you get to do. And it sounds like you just love every part of your job, and that's encouraging.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
No, I do. I'm blessed for sure.
for sure. Well, this is a great show, a great podcast. I love hearing stories like this. And I know that our audience does too, of hearing not only the challenges, but just how vision and mission and staff is so important. It really makes a difference. And so thank you for sharing your story. And I just want to encourage everyone who's listening or watching to save this show and come back and watch it, because Ross really did an incredible job at sharing why purpose and mission and employees are so important. So don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get a notification every time a new conversation drops, just like this one. Thanks to everyone who joined us today, but a special thank you to you, Ross. It was really great, and I'm so glad you were here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
See y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.